Hi guys, thanks for joining us. I have Mr. Jagdish Kini, who's been a very successful executive, coach, as well as a business leader. You have seen him in various platforms, various forums. Today I'm at his home in Whitefield, talking about how to release the hostage. You also give credit to your dad in the early formative years, teaching you a lot of values.
Yes.
Including saying shocking thing, I will not get you a job or I will not recommend you to anybody. You have to find your own.
Yes.
That
yes.
was amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Did you feel angry at that time?
Yes, I got upset. And saying that everybody's father is helping them, and here my
Holding their
father.
hands and getting them a seat and then say, better sit
Yeah,
here.
I mean, whether it was an education or, but he told me, whatever you want to do, I will support you.
Yeah.
And I thought, today when I look back, he made that confidence build in me. I would have not been as confident, perhaps, if he had held my finger and he had put me into some job or, things like that. But he really, those 30 days where I was looking for a job.
10 rupees in your pocket.
10 rupees in my pocket. And I knew exact breakup. The 5 rupees would go for the bus,
ticket.
4 rupees 50 paise for the lunch thali. And I remember him saying, in 50 paise, if your cigarettes can come, then you can smoke. Otherwise, earn your cigarette money, my boy. So it was a relationship which externally didn't look very friendly, but the dialogues were very friendly. He was my typical dad. Most dads in those days, we were not friends with our dads, but his dialogues were all like a friend. In that 50 paise, if your cigarette comes, go ahead. It's a friend telling you here. It's not your dad telling you. I remember,
He did not force on his ideals onto you.
When my uncle caught me smoking once, and he came and told his sister, my mother, and my mother at the dinner table asked me, I believe you started smoking. So I didn't answer. And my dad looks at my mother and says, I think you should increase his pocket money a little bit. I hope he's not smoking some BD kind of stuff. So it's a friend who talks like that. But, I was still scared of him. But his dialogues were all very friendly,
Let me move to the next segment of our conversation. You started your career in Kalwa, then you moved to do your B school.
Yeah.
That's one other common point that we have. We both are product of symbiosis. So I think from MBA days to all the way up to your days as a managing director with Gillette, you have done many sorts of stints, and you have upgraded your skills by attending various programs within and outside India. One of the program, I believe, is with the horse
leadership.
Horse leadership. There is a glimpse of what you learned in the program, but can you say more about what did you pick up?
Okay, so the beginning of the course where you lead a horse through obstacles, and you're supposed to hold the leash. You're not sitting on the horse, you're leading the horse.
By the side.
By the side.
Oh, okay.
You're outside the obstacle, but the horse is inside the obstacles, and therefore you have to lead the horse. Now, when we are told to lead as leaders, when we get a position of leadership, we think we are supposed to lead. And for us, when we say lead, means you have to tell the other person what to do. So similarly, if you try that with the horse stops.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
You hold that leash a little tight. The horse doesn't move, or it steps out of the obstacles.
Oh, okay.
Now, what is it? The learning here is the horse knows what it's supposed to do. Do you believe it? Are you willing to give the space to your team member? Are you willing to say, I believe in your ability? Are you willing to start every dialogue with anybody with the assumption that the other person is capable? So replace the horse with people, and this is the learnings.
True.
There's another one, you know, where
Then the essence is to hold the leash less tightly.
yes, and say, and you know, you can talk to the horse and you
Give the
say, I
message.
believe in you. So go ahead and, you know, cross the obstacles what you see.
I'm just reflecting how many times in my career as a boss I have had that lack of trust and held the leash so tightly.
Very often in my career.
Micromanagement.
Yeah, absolutely.
My
All
God.
micromanaging is because we are trying to tell people, and that word lead. Leader,
This
lead.
PowerPoint slide, this color, this font, I need these
Yes,
many
yes.
slides, this is the flow exactly by 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Killing.
The second one was, we are supposed, there's a circle round like this, and it's made of, it's brick wall. So it's a huge circle. You are in the center. You know, you're given a small whip sort of a thing, but that's only for the horse to see. And the horse, let's say, is about, I think about 30 feet away from you. It's a round circle. Now you're supposed to make the horse trot
On its own.
on its own. No. On its own means
You are not closer to the horse.
you can't do anything to the horse. You have to, with that whip in your hand, you signal. If you move towards the horse moves the other way.
Right.
So, I mean, she explains to us what we are supposed to do. But the insights is for you to gather. And for me, the insight was very clear, loud and clear. And I use this in my coaching quite regularly, is that if you believe that the horse knows to trot majestically, she will trot. And all you're supposed to do is do this so that the horse catches your eye, and then turn around like this. You go around in 360 degrees, and with your stick, the horse actually is trotting.
Keeping eye contact.
Yes,
Your
the eye
signal.
contact is with you. But do you believe that the horse will do it?
Wow.
What a learning this was here. What a learning.
I'm just visualizing the entire scenario.
Yeah. Sort of
What you
session.
seek is what you get.
Yes.
You get into the program,
Yes.
socialize with what is around you, engage with the instructions,
Yeah.
and you get your answers.
Yeah, and even when you're told to ride the horse, you know, very rarely people say, I win. Most people, I mean, like me, being in Bombay, we never ridden a horse. But, you know, when you're given a chance, the horse knows
Yeah.
exactly that you have never ridden a horse. But how do you make the horse comfortable? How does the horse make you comfortable?
True. True.
Is a relationship that you got to understand.
This also reminds me this movie Avatar, where there is a banshee. The rider has to connect through the ponytail,
Yeah.
and thereby can see what the banshee, the
Yeah.
bird, can see.
Yeah.
And the heartbeat synchronizes.
Yes.
Through thought, both of them are one
And
unit.
that's leadership actually.
Yes.
That is leadership, you know.
Yes.
I keep telling my PA coaches at times, you got to think with your heart, you know. And then most people miss it, you know, when I say think with your heart.
Think with your heart. With that message, I'm just moving on to the next part of our conversation. You came up with a wonderful framework of how one could unleash their potential. The graphic that you have come up with is really amazing, like a house kind of a graphic. Starting point is to be inspired, and then why don't you talk about your framework?
This kind of a temple framework has been part of management for years together. I only try to adapt it to my coaching and trying to understand potential and trying to, you know, sort of exploit your potential, or, you know. I go back to a few of my friends who told me, you know, that one guy told me that you haven't exploited your potential at all. And I thought I had achieved what I wanted to achieve, but he said, no. And another guy had told me that you hardly tested your potential. You could have gone much more. Then I said, what do you mean by much more? He said, depends what you think was possible for you. So, you know, those kind of questions from friends kept me thinking. And then I used my own insights as a coach. And I said, you know, if you can build a foundation which is about being aware as a person, as a human being. If you can become aware of everything around you, of yourself first, of your team, of your industry, of your company, of your family, of your society, everything is very important, and that helped me also conceptualize where, I had done this course of leadership at the peak with the Center for Creative Leadership, CCL in the US, and they had introduced us to the button philosophy. Our shirt buttons has 4 very symmetrical holes.
Right.
It's just not out of place. Everything is very symmetrical and very, very precise. And they said, that's your career, that's your life. The 4 holes are your career, yourself, your family, and your society. And they asked us to draw a button. And my button, the size of my career was almost as big as my button. And a smaller hole was my family. Myself and society was just not in the button. That's where I realized that being aware of society, being aware of nature, being a part of this planet, and being aware of it is so very important. So I built that as the foundation, and then I said the pillars. And for me, if you are exploiting your potential, it meant that the roof has to be flexible, which means I can push my pillars to a greater height to seek my potential. So what were those 3 pillars which I said, which I can keep on increasing? It should not be limited pillars, in terms of size or height. It should be a pillar which I can keep adding on to and building. So I started thinking, and I said, the 3 things that really came to my mind was being inspired by yourself. Very often we don't take pride in what we have achieved. We discount it. As difficult as we find to forgive ourselves for mistakes or for our errors, we find it very easy to discount ourselves. So, both things we got to really be aware that we are doing it to ourselves. The way we speak to ourselves, communication quotient, the way, being in the present, the speed of presence, which I got to. Trace Hobson uses this in his stuff, and I borrowed this from him. But for me, speed of presence is really being in the now. And being in the now is being 100% or more and not getting disturbed. So when you are in the now, you are at a very deep listening potential. And when you are at a deep listening potential, you probably are paying attention and becoming aware of data points which otherwise you would have missed.
Right.
And therefore your quality of decisions are much higher. So therefore, be in the speed for understanding, for gauging what's happening, for realizing the reality, for being a part of the reality, and then stepping out to become a part of the solution or seeking a solution. Stuff like that, you got to be, I said, you have to be in the now, and you have to be inspired by yourself. You most certainly have your heroes, learn from them, but try to become your own hero. And that's really where I said be inspired. The other thing that came across to me was thanks to my friend, may his soul rest in peace, Gautam Nagvekar, a very dear friend of mine. We first met when he was 5 and I was 6 in school, and then we continued. We lost him at the young age of 50. He was with Mahindra as the CEO of one of the divisions. And whenever we met, I remember him talking about abundance. And he said, I'm a very rich man, Jaggi, and farak itna hai ki my wealth is in everybody else's pocket today. But someday it is my wealth.
Wow.
And it was a concept which kept me thinking. But he wasn't really referring to wealth. He was referring to far beyond wealth. And he was talking about how experiences, he was talking about relationships, he was talking about friendship, he was talking about trust, and those kind of stuff where you have to have the abundance to really get the essence of life.
True. Moving away from that scarcity mindset.
Yeah. So moving away from scarcity mindset is not easy. And that's where competition comes in. And my daughters went to this Valley School in Bangalore, and they would come back and and they would talk about how non-competing with anybody was such a pleasure and it's a beneficial route to take. And those are the kind of stuff that I kept learning from different people. I put it into being abundant. So you'll see all the things that I put is all basically talking of abundance.
True.
And then I said being in service. This came really when I joined Airtel, prior to Airtel, I would say that service mindset was a concept. After coming to Airtel, I think for the first time I met so many end consumers. I mean, whether it was P&G or Gillette, I would meet consumers, but those were always in those research groups or in the market you would meet somebody. But our real consumers there or customers there were the retailers and the stockists. But in Airtel, I began to meet end consumers, and my experiences were very, very, very different. And Airtel gave me the opportunity or that phase in my life where I began to question myself every day. And I said, if I have to be a part and understand these customers of mine well, what is it I need to change? And it was that service mindset which came. And I did a few things which my team did not want to understand. I mean, they understood it, but they did not want to understand them because, for example, I remember giving my telephone number to all the postpaid clients. I didn't give it to the prepaid, but I gave it to the postpaid clients. And I wrote an email and I gave all my vice presidents telephone numbers also. That upset a lot of them. And one of them even said, so, Chief, you should have asked us before giving it. And I said, I think we've all joined Airtel because we're here to serve. And if you have joined Airtel for something else, then I think you need to reconsider what you're doing here. But if we are here together, the sole purpose, I'm here, and I think the sole purpose of the Razan Batra of Airtel is to serve our customers. And if that's not true, then I think we're in the wrong place. If that is true, then giving the number is nothing wrong.
Yeah.
It talks of the confidence that we have in our brand, our network, and the service attitude that we want to display. If we are not sure of it, there is an issue. But if we want to display, even if there are mistakes, it's still fine.
Yeah.
Customers are finally human beings and they will understand us. So question is, are we ready to serve or are we not ready to serve? And for me, that service mindset came there. And I think it's changed my life after that.
This is much before, all the consumer redressal forums and everyone made it mandatory.
Absolutely. Much before that.
It was proactive approach.
Yes. Yeah. Much before that. This was in 2002, I think.
Yes.
2002. And quite a few people got upset. I mean, I said, okay, I can understand why you get upset. But the reason I've done it is this.